What's up, everybody? It's Josh coming to you with another episode of the Affiliate Marketing Show. Please be sure to like, follow, and subscribe to stay up to date on all the latest affiliate marketing news, tips, and trends. If you're living under a rock, OfferVault.com is where you need to be if you want to find success in this competitive internet marketing world. We got you covered on all different sides of the industry. Make sure you check out OfferVault.com today. We also have Mr. Pay-Per-Call, Adam Young, as well as the industry legend, Harrison Gevirtz, and our special guest coming on the show on short notice today, Samar Hussain, CEO of Ecomm Producers, a lead generation powerhouse specializing in high-quality leads and calls that will help your business grow on autopilot. What's up, Samar? How are we doing?
Hey, good man. How you doing? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we appreciate you coming on. I've seen you on some other industry podcasts. I wanted to get you on the show myself. I want to start back in time with your journey, kind of from being in a call center yourself to dominating the insurance scene in South Florida. Can you kind of just walk us through what those early days in the call center looked like for you? And then we'll kind of move towards like how you were able to get to where you are today.
Sure. So I started working, in a call center when I was like 17 years old. And they put me as a fronter, and I was moved up to a closer like in 2 weeks. And then I started, I started
Can
hopping around
can
like
you break down the difference between that? Because like I'm not even familiar with those terms.
a
What's like
fronter is
obviously a closer, I got you, but what's a
yeah, a
fronter?
fronter is like a pre-qualifier, right? I
Okay.
pretty much call people and then I get them warmed up and I transfer it to a closer and then they do their job. So basically the metrics that call centers look at is how many fronts you're pushing out and how many closing you're getting, right? So I had a really high closing rate on my fronts, right? It means my opening was really good. So they're like, all right, cool. If this guy's opening is really good, maybe he can do some closing. So I started closing some deals and I moved around, and there was these guys that I worked with. My first office was Bruce and Jeff Goldberg in Cypress Creek on 33rd Ave. It was my first like call center I ever worked at. And I after that I've worked at maybe one or two, and I've seen a lot of people do how they ran their call center, like okay, this guy's doing this guy's collecting this data, this guy's not collecting this data, this guy's just off the wall. So I learned a little bit of something from each call center I worked at. So then when we opened up our own, we kind of knew some of the pitfalls. So, the first one I opened did not succeed. It failed.
Do you
And
have any like areas to point to as to why you think that happened?
uh, at that moment, I was still like 19, 20, and I was not really able to manage teams at that point, right? And it was just a disconnect between owner slash manager and sales reps. So then we started perfecting that. And I feel like that's like the most important thing of a call center is the relationship your reps have. And when they walk in, do they feel good when they walk in? Are they dragging their feet when they're walking in? So that's kind of uh, been my start. I started with that and I moved more into like, okay, let's hire more people. We've at our peak in Miami when U65 was really, really popping, we were at like 60 guys on the phones, like 7, 8 people in verification. We had like 2 HRs, we had like 4 or 5 customer service people. We had like 10 fronters. It was like we had a solid thing when U65, and I got in the golden years. So I made a bulk of my cash in the early days, and CPAs at those times were like 150 to write a deal. I still have a lot of guys in the industry and I speak with them now. I try to help them, try to understand what's going on in the market, even though I'm not really pushing too much of U65. Their CPAs are 500 and they're still operating. Like if I was at a 500, those are like shutdown numbers. You're like, all right, cool. What's the exit strategy? Like, how do you get out? These guys are just full force. They're happy. Like 500, yeah. And I'm just like, yeah, not for me. So
So which like insurance niches would you say are the best performing, and which like would be good for someone who's kind of brand new to this area of the industry to get started in?
Well, I would say there's a lot of guys in our space that just started ACA, and ACA is actually it is a very fruitful business. It just has to be ran properly, right? If you run it properly and you follow the book, it's not like an overnight get rich thing. It does take time because you are building something, but over time it works out. So I would say ACA, there's a lot of guys in the space that they can even talk to in regards to ACA as well.
When you say run it properly, like, can you go in depth on that a bit? Like, to you, what does that actually mean?
What I mean by that is by the book. There was a lot of stuff that happened with ACA in the past year with certain people that they were doing things incorrectly. They weren't managing their book properly. The way that they were acquiring their sales were a little weird. So if as long as you can acquire the sale the right way, you have consent to call them, all of that good stuff. You're just writing a clean book.
I know something you're super passionate about is AI and how it's kind of playing a part in the future of the call center space. Um, I just stumbled across something on Instagram about this company, Telenet, who opened a AI powered call center in Vegas. They're a Japanese based company, but they opened their first American location. Long story short, basically just to make AI and robots more human, right? And
Mm-hmm.
more empathetic to the end user and the client. What's your kind of view on AI's place in this industry? Where do you see it going? You know, pros and cons, all the good stuff with that.
Well, I know, look, there's a lot of people that are actually using AI actively. I use AI actively. But I feel like when sales requires, like, in my opinion, I've been doing sales for many years, it requires human touch. It requires it's emotion. Like you need people for that, right? It cannot be replaced by AI. Like at least not now. Yeah, you can use it for fronting. You could use it for like the pre-qualification. You could use it for disqualification, but the aspect of someone like you you need the human touch. You need emotion, and AI right now does not. If to my research, there's no system out there that has that emotional touch because it's trained on a lot of data, but there's a lot of things that humans pick up on. If someone says something, then you know that they might be strapped for cash, but they're not telling you that they're strapped for cash. But by how they're saying it, make you can a human would know, and that's when they can come out with like, hey, this is how we should approach this sale. This is how we can help them. AI is just gonna want to see what, like you feed it and go for it. And that's not going to get you the sale. So pre-qualification fronting, yeah, go for it. There's AI system, there's VAPI, there's Bland, there's so many different ones out right now that people are using. But sales wise, I still have to see it to believe it.
I think that
Think that
people want
Go
to
ahead.
talk to a human. Yeah, they want to talk to a human because usually when you pick up the phone and call, it's important to you.
Right.
And I've been working with Verizon's agents and their AI for 3 days to try and figure out why there's a $193 charge on my last bill. And the AI can't answer the question, and the agents using AI in the back end to try and answer my question can't do it. And so no one at Verizon can seem to tell me why they billed me this $193. And I have five support tickets open, and the AI and the humans just simply close it and try and make it go away as opposed to actually doing it, which is incredible because this isn't even a sale process, right? This is like, hey, like, will you just
Customer
tell me,
service. Yeah.
yeah, why you charged me this money? If I owe it, great. If I don't, give it back. This isn't complicated. But on the sales front, you know, people pick up the phone and call whenever something is important to them or really expensive. And those two things generally require empathy. And even though we may have AI coming, humans are going to want to talk to humans when things are important to them. And I don't see humans just accepting a poor replacement or even a pretty good replacement for, a mortgage broker or someone that is helping an elderly person get the right insurance they need so that their health can be taken care of or something like that. Like I still like having my PNC insurance agent who does my auto insurance. He emails me sometimes and is like, "Hey, I'll get you a better rate," or "Hey, your policy needs to be renewed." Um, just simple things like that. It's just a nice touch. It feels good to have a real person paying attention, and I know they're looking out for me, even if it's something that simple.
It's 100%. Like I was going to say the same thing. I mean, people, especially if they're making a purchase or trying to do something that's like important to them, as Adam said, they want to talk to a person. And I think, uh, not a very popular opinion, but the more that companies try to use these automated agent systems, um, the more consumers are going to crave a human. And I use AI for certain things. It's good at like cleaning up writing or helping with like a basic one-page agreement. And then you humanize it. You can't just take what they give you and roll with it. But it's a good resource. But at least today, I personally would rather speak to a human. And I'm going to say this: I'd rather speak to a human that's not relying on AI tools to answer my questions.
Yeah, yeah. What's
I know
interesting
you
about
love
what you
AI,
said.
Smart. So I'm sorry if I've hurt your feelings.
Oh
Well,
no.
hopefully, Harrison, our discussion here makes Josh more comfortable because we're basically saying we're not going to be able to replace
Job
him with the AI.
security, baby.
So Samar,
Yeah.
when we started the podcast like 2 years ago, the ongoing joke was that like ChatGPT had just come out or was just gaining
Mhm.
popularity, and the joke was that like my days were numbered as the host because I'd make like tiny mistakes here and there, and so yeah, I'm still here, contrary to popular opinion and belief. But I think it all comes down to trust, right? And this is something else I wanted to ask you about, right? Cultivating trust. Like people, I think, have a hard time trusting technology, robots. I think like when there's an element of human experience and consciousness on the other end, that helps you like trust that's your best interest is within their, scope of frame.
Mhm.
How do you kind of cultivate trust on your end when you're running, your business and working with your clients? What's like, I don't know, a few techniques you do to gain people's trust as quickly as possible?
Well, the most important part in working with anyone is transparency, right? You have to be fully transparent and you have to be able to literally just open up your laptop and just show them. Like if you do that, you like that's how I was able to I scaled solar a lot. And it was because the relationship I had with the buyer was just on another level. Was I met him up and I think it was ASC, and I just opened my laptop and I showed him, hey, this is what I want to do with the data that you give me. And based on the data that they gave me on a global of all of their pubs, everything that was going through their O&O, they gave it to me and I was able to really make the retargeting. And that's a hard close. You're asking someone to give you their global O&O data, not just my traffic, everyone's traffic. And that's because of the fact that after I did that, they fired their data analyst. They said, "How is this little kid telling us about our data and going to be able to use this data so they can market?" So they ended up hiring a new one, and I worked with that new one for a while as well. And I feel like transparency is like the number one thing. I told them, hey, don't give me the personal like email and phone numbers of the leads. I don't want that. I just want to know like what zip code, what was your payout on it, what electric company they're with, and like how much shade do they have, like whatever the general metrics are. And I'll make a report and I will be able to do a better job in providing better leads, better high closing leads. Because like my biggest thing is quality. Like I focus on quality like to another level. And the fact that the questions that I'm asking are related to like, hey, what's your NCPA? Like, what's your appointment rate, and how much are you willing to spend on closing the deal. So if you ask those types of questions, that also makes them feel comfortable, like, hey, like he's not just trying to send me a lot of like leads that are not willing to convert. Like I care about the conversions more than anything, because that relationship is going to be short-lived. They're just going to turn you off, or they're going to be like, hey, like, yeah, we had a bad run, didn't work out. So I like to make the relationships long term, and that's the cultivating trust factor of that.
It's funny you mentioned that. In 2017, that's when I met Ray Sinlao. I know you know Ray. Everyone here knows
Uh-huh.
Ray. And I was like, I don't want to meet another affiliate. Like, I don't want to deal with this shit. And so he told me what he was doing. And I said, show me your stats. Like, if you want to hang out, show me your stats. Like, we're going to get past this, whether I want to hang out with you or
Living in
not,
a
real
hotel room
quick.
in Bangkok.
Yeah. And so he walked into this hotel room, sat down with his laptop, opened it up, and showed me. And he wasn't lying. And now he's one of my best friends. Like, we hang out all the time, whenever, and it's a lot of fun. And the reason is because we started off that way. And so whenever he asked me for help, or whenever I ask him, or there's a problem or whatever, we're just 100% real, no matter what it is. And it makes for a great relationship, a very long-lasting one too, right? Like Harrison and I have very similar relationship to this, and I think that's the right way to do it. That's how you build real partnerships. Most people aren't willing to do that, and you're kind of looking for the rare birds in business. You don't want to do business with everybody. In fact, you want to do business with not that many people. And I've made I don't know, I have a lot of great friends. Almost all of them are business friends, people I've done business with first, and then they become great friends after that because we know how we behave related to money and problems. And so I really like that you did that, Samar. And one more comment on Harrison's what Harrison said about AI. I think it'll actually get regulated so that AI will have to disclose its AI. And I think Harrison's dead on when he says that humans are going to want to talk to humans, and there's going to be pushback against it. And so I think when that regulation happens, it's going to make it a lot harder to really outsource the important parts of the sales process. And then also for things like insurance or other financial regulated categories that the government has laws about, I think that they're not going to be able to have AI do that part of the process for a long time. So I think Samar's right, fronting, perhaps, qualifying, perhaps, getting a few small pieces of information from a consumer, like, hey, how old are you and what's your zip code? Sure. But eventually, a human's going to have to come in to most of these conversations.
Have you guys ever had somebody like not be able to show you the stats, like in person or like over a call, where you're like, prove it, and they're like, and they just aren't able to?
Well, I have an example. I mean, this is years ago. Adam and I, we had some affiliate partners we were working with. This is like a decade ago, maybe longer. And, like, whatever, I want to get paid this much per lead or whatever. And I'm like, that's like literally highest, like our top partner is getting paid like less than that. Well, I do this much volume or whatever on this offer. And we're like, okay, we'll try it. We'll give you that payout. And then they send you like 4 leads. And that whole time waste could have been avoided if I would have been like, okay, so you're running offer B. Cool. Can I see some stats? Let me see your EPC. Like, look, maybe I don't beat your payout, but I'll guarantee your EPC over, if you give me X minimum amount of volume or something. And so I've definitely had situations where people are more secretive. Like, I mean, a good buddy of mine, and Adam's met him. I don't know if he doesn't listen to the show. He's going to be mad I even talked about him. His name's Andrew, and he doesn't want anyone to know anything that he does. He's not listening. This is what happens when you don't listen to the show.
Did not have to mention his name at all. You didn't have to say his name, but you did.
Come at me, bro. You don't lift. You're always on vacation. And you like literally, like, I had lunch with him a year and a half ago, and he was like, "Yeah, I'm running all this shit, whatever." And it literally took me 15 years for this fucker to be comfortable to be like, "Yeah, dude, I'm running these offers and I do this and I'm focused on that." Please
Let's
don't tell anyone. And I'm like, bro, like you're not the this is an example. You're not the only asshole running auto insurance. Like, come on, bro. Okay.
we gotta
So
get this guy on the show ASAP.
I'll hit him up.
I feel like in this industry more than, I mean, any industry and in life, like once that initial trust is broken, you're probably never going to get it back. Like, never going to work with that person.
That's true. That's
No?
not true. Hold on. I'm gonna comment on that. I actually was having a conversation about this with our sales team earlier. Harrison and I have had people not pay us together and separately, right? It's part of the business. I think everyone in the industry at some point has not gotten paid. Thankfully for Harrison and I together, we've almost 100% avoided that outcome. And there's two different types of scenarios, Josh. One where people don't pay and then they don't own it. And then the other scenario is when people pay what they can, do what they can, own it, at least apologize and talk to you and try to make it right or make it right, regardless of how long it takes. And those types of people get a pass, right? Because shit happens in life. And if someone makes a mistake or whatever happens and they eventually make it right, you can move past it. I owed a friend some money in the early 2000s, and I didn't pay it. And I knew it was there, but I wasn't in a good spot, and he never asked for it. And I eventually hit him up on AOL Instant Messenger and was like, hey, bro, I know I owe you the $2,000. Like, can I PayPal you and cover the fees or whatever it is? Like, I'm really sorry. I was in a rough spot. And I gave him money. I should have talked to him. I should have told him what was going on in my life. I should have owned it and been a better person. But eventually, and I was in my early 20s, I gave him the money back. And this is before I had really had great success in affiliate marketing, right? Like I didn't have any money. And I felt bad about it. And I eventually ran into that human again and we were cool. And I don't think we'll be ever as close of friends again because I didn't talk to him about it. But if we had to do business together today, 20 years later, I think we could because, like, it may not be perfect, but at least we know that eventually it'll be sorted out. And that's the kind of relationship you should be striving for in affiliate marketing. And my favorite kinds of people are the ones in the PPC groups and in the, people aren't paying their bills groups that get called out and then are like, yeah, I'm behind on the bill. I told you this. Business is not good. I can't pay you right now. I gave you the schedule in which I can pay you. Like, there's no need to put it in public, but I'll own it in public. Like, here's the schedule. I'm sorry, business is bad, right? Like,
better
that
than no
sucks
communication,
to have
though.
to do that. Yeah, in public, but everyone watching is like, all right, well, I'm not going to extend this person 100 grand in credit, but if there's an opportunity, I probably could do business with them. I think that's what most people want to see. They just want to know that someone will try and work it out if there's a problem.
Samar, changing gears here, I saw you attended Columbia Con 2, I believe. And I don't really know much about the gathering or the event, the mastermind, whatever you want to call it. I'd love for you to tell us a little bit about it. What were some of the highlights and the key takeaways?
Okay, so Columbia Con, so David and I just a year ago talked about hosting a mastermind. So I'm sure you know David Stodolak. And so David and I decided, hey, let's do a mastermind. We had our first one back in August, and we decided to do another one. And Ringba is actually one of our main sponsors for the show. Thank you, Adam and Harrison. And so there's a lot of events that happen, a lot of masterminds, and we want it to be different. And obviously the venue, it's already like a really like South America. Yes, it's a different venue. But in regarding to the show itself, we wanted to be different where we wanted only media buyers. And instead of you can just go on and just sign up, I went through an entire vetting process on who is allowed to come, because the the relationships that happen outside on when we're at our mixer, those conversations, people had really meaningful conversations. And that was because of the fact that everyone was a media buyer. And I spoke on AI. I spoke on building applications, making creatives. I do a lot of media buying, AI applications. I'm not a developer, but I build a lot of stuff. Um, like right now I'm sitting on like maybe 5 million videos, like creatives I made in 6 hours. So and that's I talked about that process. So we had like guys like Ron Hart, we had Manny from Leeds Icon, and we had Buku Leads. This guy talked about Taboola ads, which I wanted to. So I take all that data of everyone that's attending. I do research on every single person, and I feed it to an AI, and that AI then tells me what people's strong points are, and I call on them on the round table. And I say, hey, can you tell us how you're doing that? Because this guy is doing something, and everyone else that filled out that application prior is looking for exactly what he's doing, right? So I have AI match stuff based on people's weaknesses and their strengths. So that's what makes our round table very different. And I'm not the type of person that holds, like, I don't care if I share my sauce. Like, I don't care. Like, if you want to use AI to have your events, do it. It'll make it better. So our events generally come out to be a little bit better, and the relationships are more meaningful. And because everyone's on the same, like, I had this rule, like no like networks were allowed. I did not allow any networks to be there. And that was because of the fact that I needed to have integrity for the round table, that everyone that's sitting at that round table needs to be able to share information on how they're running their ads, either as TikTok, Facebook, Google, Newsbreak, Rumble, whatever. So it was a successful event, and I learned a lot. I learned about obviously everyone. I learned about like knowledge about media buying, but also learned a lot about like myself on how I am under pressure sometimes. A lot of weird things happened, and we were able to have a successful, smooth event. So yeah.
Adam and Harrison, I know you guys have a rule for your masterminds too. What is it? It's like no
Small talk.
pitching.
No pitching, no
pitching.
snitching, no service providers.
Right, exactly. Well, yeah, Columbia Con sounds awesome. I assume.
We thank Samar for not having our rule, because he did let Eric and John from the Ringba team go there. But a lot of those people are our customers, and it's great to have them in the room, not to sell or pitch. I don't think they pitch. They don't do that. But like if someone has a question or needs something or needs help or whatever, like they're there and can arrange resources for those folks. And I love that. So we liked being part of the event. Yeah, it was great.
No, they were actually a really good addition to pretty much a supporting factor, because I would say the out of all the people that came, 45, 50% were running pay-per-call. And out of that 50%, probably 80 to 90% were using Ringba, right? So now you're building relationships with the top account level, like account managers at the company. So if you have maybe a higher level question, hey, how do I do this agent availability ping? Talk a little bit about technical stuff. And those guys are really like technical. So it actually helped out. I actually asked some questions, like I needed some help with some stuff, and I was like, "Yo," I scooch John in the corner. I'm like, "Yo, like, how do I do this? How do I do that?" So it's like very helpful that they were able to come.
Yeah, that's awesome. And shout out to Sonic Flights, by the way, who booked the
Yeah.
private jet to head down
Yes.
there. I don't know if anyone's seen all these affiliates and ballers in the performance marketing industry flying around on fucking Gulf streams, but you know where
Yeah.
they're getting them? They're
Yeah.
getting them from us. So if
Yeah.
you need a plane,
Hit me up.
Harrison's your boy.
Thank you, Harrison, for that. And I believe that we're trying to start like a trend here with hosting events and having PJs leave from certain areas. So I really hope that this trend can go on and we continue to use you guys to do that for us, because you guys also have a large network of marketers that can also help us get more attendees to our events as well, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, I promise, Samar, we're doing our best job to make sure everyone keeps flying on these planes. We're taking a
Yeah.
G550 to Affiliate Summit this year.
Yeah. That's going to be an insane mastermind.
Story about that. I hit Harrison up and asked him for a plane, and he sent me a photo of a fucking flying minivan, and I was like, no, bigger. And so,
Big.
then he sends me something a little more respectable, right? That had a flight attendant and, a bathroom that was reasonable. And I was like, this is not gonna work. I need a plane. And then he came back and was like, I'll have a 550 at the FBO for you. And I was like, okay, we can film podcasts on that. That'll be great. So
I mean,
thank
that
you,
being
Harry.
said, if you'd like a budget option across the country, the Citation 10 is a very nice minivan for budget conscious private aviation clientele.
Yes, if you'd like to get in touch with the Jet Poppy Harrison himself, you can find his contact
Jet
information.
Jet Poppy, that's a great name.
You can find his
Wait,
contact
I'd
info
like
in
your
the
guys'
description.
feedback on this. Really quick, very off topic. I was messaged by a guy who I've known for a long time. He's big in like influencer world, whatever. He goes, "Hey, bro, do you want?" This is like over the weekend. He goes, "Hey, do you want at private jet on Instagram?" And I'm like, in my head, I'm thinking like, I'm into it. It's probably a good buy. How much do you think the guy wanted for it? I was pretty surprised.
How about 50K?
Oh no.
Mar, you have any idea?
I would probably say maybe quarter million.
He wanted 100K for it. I felt like that's a lot. I don't know. I didn't like the number. If it was 50, it'd be high, but it has a couple 100,000 followers. I was like, it's interesting, but
They're fake.
Yeah,
I literally don't think they're real. It was the next thing that
yeah, it's like quality over quantity,
I'm
right?
checking.
Like, yeah, so
I'm looking, bro. They're fake.
Long story short, you can find Harrison on Instagram at private jet.
No, fuck you.
No, Jet Poppy. Jet Poppy
Jet
coming
Pop. I might
soon.
do Jet Poppy. It's true. I mean, for
Someone
400,000, these posts have like 80 likes. It's fucking bad.
Yeah, I don't think you're getting Jet, but listen, if you actually want a Jet from Harrison, you can get his contact information in the link or in the description below, or hit him up at affiliate at Instagram, which is pretty baller, right? That's how you actually get a hold of him. And full disclosure, we own the private jet brokerage, but Harrison does an incredible job with service and everything else, and we really take care of our customers just like we do for our other businesses. So legit, like he does an amazing job. So if you need a plane, call my boy.
Yeah, thank you, Harrison, for that.
No worries.
Yeah.
Samar, you mentioned at ColumbiaCon you ran into a couple sticky situations, right? This kind of segues right into the next topic I have for you, which is basically, resolving conflicts through true leadership. Do you feel like leadership like that can be taught and learned, or do you think it's more like you're born with it, or you are not?
No, you're not born with it. It comes with experiences. It comes with finding out the problems and going through natural experiences and seeing how
Or just being a victim a couple times. Doesn't matter if we're talking
you got to get
business.
scammed a couple times, and you have to like have bad stuff happen to you for you to kind of build that. So you just got to get out there and just get scammed, and then you're gonna be like, okay, this is how you should handle it, So I had a lot of crazy, like on our first ColumbiaCon event, we booked this entire mansion. I send Walker and I send Dennis Gonchar over to this mansion. They just had got there. They knock on a door and there's 20 guys in there for a bachelor party, and they double booked
Oh,
the mansion.
fuck.
And I had like 30 people flying in that evening for a mixer, and I have no house. I don't have a place to do an event. So I told them, hey, come over to my place because I have a place there. Come over to my place. I'll have my chef make you some food. And I called a realtor. I kind of just told her like what's going on. And I secured another house in 30 minutes. And I sent one of my guys that works at my one of my offices there, and I said, "Hey, why don't you drop what you're doing, take a cab, go to this house, see if it's empty, see if it's ours, FaceTime me with the realtor. She's there." I verify it's ours. I send everybody there. I give all the people new addresses. I changed the addresses with all, I had like bar tricks. I had all these guys coming that spitting fire out their mouth. Like I had to call every one of them, change the venue. But I was able to do that, like being very calm. Like you have to be calm in those certain situations. You can't panic. And I feel like if you are able to operate with a cool mind, you could get anything done. If you're hot-headed and you start getting a little shaky and panicky, like, yeah, that stuff can happen.
So without using the word leadership or leader, like if you were to give me three individual words that basically come to mind when you think of a true leader, what do you think they would be?
That's a good question. Someone. So
Three
you just want
words.
3 words.
3 words. 3 words. Yeah.
So you have to first be able to inspire people, right? That's like number one thing, right? Humility and accountability. I would say those like, you know, you gotta
Yeah.
own up you gotta own up for your stuff.
No, I would agree with that.
Humility
Those are
is
good.
humility is if if the toilet's clogged and you're the only one to do it, you
That
gotta just
that
shut the
just
fuck
sounds like
up
a
and
yeah,
yeah.
it sounds like a good person, you know?
Yeah. You have to be able to, because like when someone is working with you, for you, alongside you, like you're their leader, right? And you have to like lead by example, and you have to be able to inspire them and be like, oh my God, I'm working with this type of person. So if I'm sitting there and I've done like social experiments where if something goes wrong and like I have to like in one of my call centers, like I picked up the mop. I had like 5 guys be like, no, I don't want you to mop. Like, I'll mop. But I had to pick up the mop. I can't just be like, yo, mop the floor, you know? But I have to pick up the mop. So like that's kind of how it is. Like you have to just do it. And if no one were to come and stop me, I wouldn't stop. I just continue mopping, right? So you have to just, and that's where that's where the humility part comes in. Like you just do it.
I think with true leadership comes true sacrifice in certain areas, right? And the last thing I want to mention to you or ask you about is something I saw you talked about with Dave, I believe, which is
Mhm.
basically, balancing personal and professional relationships. Like, do you believe in a work-life balance, or is work your life? What kind of
Work is my life.
what kind
Yeah.
of sacrifices have you had to make, or how do you determine what is allowed to be sacrificed and what's off limits? Like, do you have any kind of insights you could share with someone who's kind of finding themselves in the middle of that struggle between a personal life, a business life, and they're having a hard time, combining the two or committing to one or the other?
When you're trying to like build an empire, there's no such thing as a clock. You just work. You just work all day, all night. Yes,
Like, do you
you
have
have
any non-negotiables,
mm,
or you cannot have any if you want to build an empire?
you're trying to really try to build an empire. I'm talking about $100 million, $150 million company. Yes, in the beginning, you do need to dedicate your entire life to it. And there are like it's kind of crazy. You have to be like almost autistic about it. And yes, there are certain things that I wouldn't miss anything in the world for, anything to do with my parents. Um, Obviously I'm always there, but like friends, like guys that I hang out with, like you have like these guys don't see me for weeks sometimes.
But the
And
real ones, they stick around and they wait.
oh, the real ones, they know, obviously they understand the vision. They know what I'm trying to do here and they respect it, right? And that's all that matters, right? You just obviously need support from like friends and family, but there's no one that's going to be able to build what you're trying to build for you. Like you just have to have that vision to do it and work with teams that believe in your vision and dedicating that time. Like I don't sleep till like 3, 4 in the morning sometimes, and I'm on my laptop. Like I'll go out, come home at like 11, 12, and I'll crack open my laptop. Like, oh, I'm not like, oh, I'm gonna go to bed. Like there's work that needs to be done, and there's a lot of stuff that I'm working on that I built for my call centers that I'm helping industry people like vamp up their call campaigns and vamp up their call centers, and it's an entire SaaS product where I'm working with like devs, I'm building it out, I'm making sure everything's working fine. So that's time. I don't look at the clock anymore. I just work.
But I feel like you wouldn't change a thing if you could go back in time and do anything different related to
Oh,
how you.
hell no.
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't change a thing. I'd keep on working.
Harrison, thoughts? And then we'll get out of here.
I mean, I completely agree. I mean, I think that, I've been doing this long enough that I don't even really think about it. I'm just always I'm like a doctor. I'm on duty. I'm on call. You know what I mean? Um, and I'm still able to like be present in things with my family or whatever, but like sometimes I gotta step away and take a call or clean up a mess on my phone or whatever. You know what I mean? It is what it is. Um, People, and family typically is pretty understanding about that, you know.
Yeah, I feel like it all comes down to staying in the present moment too, right? When you don't have separate lives, you're kind of just living. You're not at work, you're not off work, you're kind of just in the moment. Have either I know you guys work a lot, so you probably don't catch a lot of TV, but have either of you guys seen this newer show called Severance on Apple TV?
No, it sounds fun.
It's kind of the epitome of like work-life balance. They get like chips put in their brain, and when they're at work, they're not able to think about their life outside of work and vice versa. It's super interesting.
Dude, I'm all for this for you, Josh. This looks good.
Well, for
I
myself,
want
Josh,
one too. I'm not hating. I'm down. I mean, Samar likes money. He'd probably take it too. Fuck it.
Yeah.
for myself, Josh from OfferVault, Mr. Paper Call Adam Young, the industry legend Harrison Gevirtz, and our special guest Samar Hussain, CEO of Ecomm Producers. Let's make that paper. Let's make that dough. This was the Affiliate Marketing Show. We will see you next time.